Hi everyone, my name is Noemie Thomas and I come from New Zealand and I'm a grade 12 at Think Global School. So today I'm here to talk to you about future of schooling rethinking assessment. So in 2020, Forbes came out with an article listing the top skills looked for in potential employees by future employers. Among these were critical thinking and analysis, coordinating with others, negotiation, and creativity. Now, if these skills are so important for us to have later on in life, how is a traditional schooling method teaching us these? In short, it's not. So, at TGS, there's a lot of things that we do differently. We have our modules, which is an immersive. We don't have set classrooms. However, this part of TGS usually catches people out the most. So, after we've done all of these subjects and everything, we are the ones to assess ourselves. I know what you're thinking. How would you, it's crazy, how would you let a group of 15 to 18-year-olds be in charge of their own grades? I know, I thought the same before I joined. However, let me explain how a small change in the way we assess ourselves creates a huge shift in the way that we learn. So, who here has done a test before where they might not have done really, like they might not have studied much for, or they might not have done very well. And when the results came back, they remember their parents saying, "What is this?" And then you're like, "Oh no, everybody did bad, it wasn't just me. No, I really did well. It's just the teacher hates me, that's why they gave me a bad grade. It wasn't just because I didn't study for it." Anyway, at TGS, students don't have the ability to do that. We don't have the chance to put a test on a desk and then run away and forget about it. At TGS, once that we have done our modules and everything, we have to sit down with a mentor that has been a supervisor throughout our whole project and go through our whole process. How did we achieve the grade we want to achieve? No, it's not as easy as saying, "I deserve an A," and then they'll be like, "Okay," and then we run away. It would be great if it was, it'd be so much easier, but we have to explain how we stuck to a timeline, how we achieved the criteria we set for ourselves, and why we deserve a grade. And then the educator might say, "Yes, I do agree you deserve this grade because you achieved this, this, and this," or "No, I don't agree, you deserve a different grade." So, how does this change anything at all? How does this relate to what I talked about at the start with the skills? So, understanding that we will be the ones to analyze ourselves and assess ourselves at the end of the analyze ourselves, that means that first off, we have to understand the criteria completely because we have to be the ones to understand it to then apply it to ourselves. Then, I must look at the amount of work I have to do throughout the term and make myself a timeline. How will I achieve what I want to achieve in the set time I have? I'm going to set myself deadlines and checkpoints to stay up to date with. Then I must stay engaged and actively learning and curious so that at the end of the process I can sit down with my mentor who has been surveying the whole process and be proud and happy of the work I'm putting forward. So, critical thinking and analysis. This way, I have to critically think about the work that I'm doing. How does this achieve the rubric? How does the rubric fit into what I'm doing? I must understand my work fully and then analyze my process. So, TGS, we use learning targets, as Alex showed. There are different levels at which we can achieve it. Novice, using specific vocabulary, such as understand, remember. This is the basic level of understanding, just general knowledge. Then we have specialist, evaluate, analyze, and apply. Then, at top is mastery. To achieve mastery, the student must show that they understand the topic well enough that they would be able to teach it. Only then, once that we have shown that we completely understand and have achieved the specific criteria with a specific vocabulary, then may we get the grade that we want. Coordinating with others and negotiation. Coordinating with others is a huge thing because to set up the exit interview, I must coordinate with my educator and mentor to set up a time, a date, and a place that works well for both parties for the exit interview. And negotiation. When it comes to exit interviews, I have fine-tuned my skill of negotiation. Like discussing and debating with my exit mentor that I deserve a specific learning target when they might think, It happens a lot. And sometimes they'll say, yes, okay, you make a good point. You do deserve this. And sometimes they'll say, no, maybe you just have to try again in another project. However, by going through this process, I understand how to communicate my point and my beliefs in a clear and professional way. Negotiation is something that not everybody knows how to do. However, everybody will use at some point in their life. Creativity. So, this is a big one. Because sometimes, yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I did use a learning target about government systems in a personal project about crocheting, but I do deserve it because I used a specific thread that was made in the political turmoil of Egypt, and I created an informational infographic about the connection between threads and governments. You being able to utilize what is at hand to fit something into where it usually wouldn't make sense, but now it does because you were able to adapt it in a certain way, is a really big skill. Overall, I hope you guys have learned something about how we assess at TGS and how, in a world where everything is changing in terms of education, and we know that so many things have to change because the way we are learning is no longer sustainable, making a small shift in the way that we assess ourselves creates a huge change in the way your students will learn. Equipping your students with skills that they will use and that will benefit them to an endless extent once that they leave and they will use in the future. I hope you guys will join us along the path into a brighter and smarter educational future. I would like to take this time to just have maybe a brainstorm session about maybe how you guys could implement or think about how schools without the resources to completely change their new curriculum into a project-based learning and new assessment could somehow change the way we assess. Are there any ideas?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
How could a school that maybe doesn't have the resources to completely change the curriculum and do student-based assessment implement a small change that could be on the path to changing?
Project learning? The projects?
In terms of assessment?
Oh.
Maybe at the end of the year you could have like students assess themselves. Maybe it wouldn't go on the transcript, but just to get comfortable with that idea and kind of understand what it's like to rank yourself and be honest with yourself, that could be a good way to do it with little resources.
Yeah, that's great.
The importance of reflection and making sure reflection time is built into the curriculum. It doesn't cost anything, but actually it's a really important tool to move forward.
Yeah, 100%. I know a great idea is separating grading skills and effort at the end, looking at how your student has been, what effort they've been putting in compared to the grades they got. That way saying, okay, maybe you didn't get the grade, but you tried really hard, and that way you get an A for that, even though maybe you only got a B. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to the talk, and I will hand it back to Rosie.